We've been pretty much defining the problem. I'm an engineer undergraduate, my former life. And in engineering terms, a solution is only as good as the definition of the problem, right? So I think we'll skip through it very quickly, though, Hank, because there's some overlap. But Hank, we want to encourage all of you, if you're not already on our mailing list, please join. What we do is whenever we have something to say, we put it on our website, and we send it to our full mailing list, which is very large. It takes 7 or 8 or 9 hours to get an email out to everybody. So you can either get on our mailing list and get these sent to you, or you could just keep monitoring the website. But beginning in December, around the middle of December, there's an article there entitled Summit Call. And it's the first of the, and every article, it's the first article where we talked about the Continental Congress and our plan to conduct one. And every article since then is sort of an update. And so you're encouraged to, and as you talk to other people, encourage them to read each of the articles. Because we don't go back and repeat everything, and each new article has a little nugget or two that you don't want to miss everything. So anyway, Hank read our first couple of articles about the Continental Congress, and he put together a little PowerPoint presentation of his own, which we're going to zip right through here pretty quickly. Signers of the Declaration of Independence recognized that individual liberties are endowed by the natures God and created. They moved to end government's violations of those liberties. Governments derive their just powers from the consent of the people. These are essential principles underlying our system of governance. The Declaration embodies high-order principles of Republican government, small r, not the party, the philosophy. Virginia delegates to the Constitutional Convention in 1787 commented, the general object was to provide a cure for the evils under which the United States labored, that in tracing these evils to their origin, every man had found it in the turbulence and follies of democracy. We are not a democracy. You know, when Jefferson was given the task of drafting the Declaration of Independence, he had ordered all the world famous treaties theses on all of the principal forms of government by the leading proponents of those and so forth. And he had them all shipped to Monticello, his home. And the founders specifically spit out, they eschewed this democracy form of government, the rule of man, the rule of the wind, of man. Their objective was to map a course for the enduring republic in America that would limit government and maximize individual freedom and liberty. They adopted a constitution that guarantees to every state in the Union a republican form of government. They knew that a democracy ruled by men, not law, would self-destruct. Democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until the voters discover that they can vote for themselves largesse of the public treasury. From that moment on, the majority always votes for the candidate promising the most benefits from the public treasury, with the result that the democracy always collapses over loose fiscal policy. That's a quote that we obtained from a very wonderful booklet authored by Ben LaRosa from San Antonio. He's here with us today. By the way, Ben, someone pointed out that they've been checking all of the quotes in here and could not find or verify that quote. So maybe you can talk to me a little bit later so I can know how to respond to the fellow I got that email from. Okay, between a balanced republic and a democracy, the difference is like that between order and chaos. That from John Marshall, the early Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There never was a democracy that did not commit suicide. Those are the words of John Adams. At no time and no place in solemn convention assembled through no chosen agents had the American people officially proclaimed the United States to be a democracy. The Constitution did not contain the word or any word lending countenance to it. Charles Austin Beard, historian. So in other words, you find the word republican form of government in the Constitution, but nowhere do you find this word democracy. Founders gave clear expression to the blessings of a republican form of government. You have rights antecedent to all earthly governments, rights that cannot be repealed or restrained by human laws, rights derived from the great legislator of the universe. Again, John Adams. So, in other words, to jettison the Constitution, which is what's happening now. Your government, people in government, are clearly jettisoning the Constitution. They're doing whatever they want to do, regardless of what the Constitution authorizes. So to jettison the Constitution, though, is to sink the Republic. The Constitution has been abandoned by America's elected and appointed officials since 1995, as we pointed out. Each new Congress and president has arrogantly refused to respond to repeated petitions for a remedy to these grievances. They have answered the people's petitions with repeated injuries, playing both to the mob and to those who feed at the public financial trough. That's who they're playing to. They're not playing to the Constitution. They're not playing to your individual rights. America has transitioned from a republic to a democracy, even while the Constitution of the United States sits in plain sight. For far too long, the people have endured escalating attacks upon the rule of law and the Constitution. Its precious but fragile guarantees of individual rights, freedoms, liberty, and justice have been compromised, ironically, by the very public servants empowered and sworn to preserve and protect them. The Constitution doesn't defend itself, it just sits there. That's our job. Who else, if we don't defend it, who's going to defend it? You think the media is? You think those in government are going to? No way. You think corporate America is going to? It's up to us. So there's a long train of abuses, as we've discussed. Okay, the invasion of Iraq was unconstitutional. The Federal Reserve System is unconstitutional. Treasury and Fed bailouts are unconstitutional. The North American Union is unconstitutional. The Patriot Act. There's a developing police state, which is unconstitutional. The direct unapportioned tax on labor is unconstitutional. Federal gun control laws. The absence of a well-regulated state militia. Failure to faithfully execute the immigration laws, as we've discussed. And this natural born citizen clause. It is unconstitutional for the government to conduct elections that do not rely on paper ballots that are hand-marked and hand-counted with results announced and posted at each polling place. This is key. They count votes in secret today. When a machine counts your votes, it's counting it in secret. That's unconstitutional. We are guaranteed the right to not only vote, but to know that our votes are being accurately counted. The only way to do that is hand ballots, paper ballots, hand-marked, hand-counted, where they then announce the results in each polling place at the end of the day. It is unconstitutional for Mr. Obama to assume the office of President of the United States, no matter the number of people who have voted for him. Thank you. Government officials are obligated to respond to the people's petitions for redress of grievances, these violations of the Constitution. When a long train of abuses, usurpations, and refusals to respond to the petitions for redress of violations of the Constitution evinces a conspiracy to transition our constitutional republic to a pure democracy, or to otherwise strip us of our liberties and reduce us to serfdom under absolute despotism, it is the right of the people to alter the government proactively, non-violently, and with critical mass. Some would argue it's your right to do it violently too, but I don't think we're there yet. And now our republic faces the spectacle of a president-elect who steadfastly refuses to produce an original birth certificate conclusively establishing his legal status as a natural-born citizen, as explicitly required by the very Constitution he will take an oath to on January 20th to preserve, protect, and defend. So the questions to be answered. Should the people begin a process of withdrawing their resources from those federally elected and appointed officials who have usurped the power of the people until their constitutional grievances are redressed and the Constitution is restored? And second, should the people immediately submit to their governors and state legislators model statutes for the re-establishment or revitalization of the constitutionally mandated, well-regulated state militias? Those two questions are the questions that the delegates to the Continental Congress in Philadelphia upcoming will focus on. I mean, they're going to review all of these violations, review all of the attempts to petition for redress of those grievances, and then settle on a course of action. But these are the two questions. If it was up to me, it won't be, but because there will be 150 delegates there. was up to me, the people would withdraw their support from the federal government and would immediately, on one day, simultaneously, in all 50 states, with adequate press conferences, submit to the governors and the legislatures model statutes to revitalize the well-regulated state militias. Because that's the only constitutional security. Those of you who haven't read, there's a wonderful person, his name is Ed Vieira, 4 degrees from Harvard, argued in one case at the Supreme Court, learned just how corrupted, in one case, but he also learned that what's happening. His sister is Meredith Vieira from the Today Show, and it's Ed Vieira, brilliant person. I know him well. He is the foremost attorney and expert on the Federal Reserve, knows that the money systems bring governments down, bring countries down. Failures of the monetary system collapse countries. And so he did this enormous work called The Pieces of Eight, a tome, 2-volume tome, with thousands of footnotes and references and citations and the like, and determined without doubt that the current Federal Reserve System is unconstitutional. But it made him think that it is going to bring this country down, and that as the country economically, so in 2005, he concluded that if that's true, there's going to be chaos, and the only constitutional homeland security is the well-regulated state militias. And so he embarked in 2005, he's wrapping his mind entirely around this whole issue, knowing that the people, knowing the only thing that's going to save the people from just total tyranny and despotism, with all the trouble that's brewing. He saw it, one of the first to see it so clearly. And he embarked on this well-regulated state militia, and he's publishing a series of 3 sort of how-to books. This is the first one. It's Constitutional Homeland Security. Lays out it's a tough read. You gotta, because he's so brilliant. It is a tough read. You gotta read things sometimes 2 or 3 times to fully understand, exactly, what he's saying. But stay with it. It's 1995. You can get it from his website. I don't know, it's on here somewhere. Every delegate to the convention, to the Continental Congress, will have one of these, and will have read it and studied it in preparation for their work in Philadelphia. Those are the 2. Okay, so the time has come. Go back. Yeah, the time has come to temporarily set aside the lesser issues of our lives and commit ourselves once again to the cause of liberty. If there must be trouble, Tom Paine said, if there must be trouble, let it be in my day that my child may have peace. The cause of America is in a great measure the cause of all mankind. And regional meetings, that's what I'm doing now. This is the first one. Every day I'll be in another city, going across the country and back, driving to every one. We'll be speaking. The purpose of these meetings is to, we want to, and anything you can do now, the schedule from here on in is posted on the website. Do what you can. We want attendance, a high attendance, as high as possible at every one of these upcoming meetings. This is a tour in preparation for the Continental Congress, which is upcoming. We want as many people involved now as we can. We want to explain why this is, as we've been doing, why this is necessary, how it would work, what may come of it, and we want to begin the process of selecting delegates. We want delegates to this Continental Congress that have a demonstrated passion for the Constitution. They've demonstrated in their lives as authors or scholars or activists. Again, respectable people in their community, if not pillars of the community. We want them to be delegates, so send your nominations. We'll put those nominations on all 50 state websites, which are available through our website, and there are 3,141 county websites available through our website as well. we'll put those nominations up there, and eventually people in those states will vote for who they'd like to send off to Philadelphia to be a delegate. This is going to be very expensive. The cost of the Constitutional Center, a minimum, we're contracting for a minimum of 2 weeks, as much as a month. It's $14,000 and $1,000 a day after that, for the first 2 weeks, and then $1,000 a day after that. That's just the beginning. There's the cost of getting all of these delegates. Those who can't afford to pay their own way, we want the people in the states to help them get there, to do their work. And then, as a last resort, this foundation will raise some money and will help out. So, but the cost of transporting these delegates there, and the cost of lodging them and feeding them for the duration is expensive. The cost of public relations, the country needs to know about this. This is not a secret. These are open covenants, openly arrived at. Picture this. And all of this is on our website, one of these articles that we encourage you to read. The Constitution Center is only a few years old. It has a grand hall. It's large enough to set up 50 tables for 3 delegates from each state, plus another 50 tables, which we'll do, for up to 3 delegates from the state legislatures. They will be invited to attend, to observe, not to participate unless called upon, but to observe. We recognize, our state legislatures and give them an opportunity. We know, that they're sort of intertwined with the federal government these days, and the same political parties, control all access to all ballots and all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, we're going to give the state legislatures an opportunity to send 3 delegates to observe. And then around 3 sides of this room will be more than adequate space for members of the government, members of the public, and members of the media to come and observe, not to say anything. No camera shutters, no bright lights, none of that. In Philadelphia in 1774 through 1776, we wouldn't know what happened in the room had it not been for a few local reporters that happened, to cover the event. They came and they took notes and wrote up what they heard. We, on the other hand, will have recorders and full transcription of everything that goes on there, all discussions, debates, and so forth. We'll be doing live webcasting so that the people back in the states, in the respective states, can see and keep up to date on everything that's going on in Philadelphia. And so that they and a growing number of people, hopefully, will have come to an understanding of exactly why this is necessary, and why whatever it is, course of action that's decided upon is justified. And this isn't going to work this day and age. It's almost impossible it is impossible for individuals and small groups to prevail against our government. It's going to take people power. It's going to take 5%, I don't know, shoot for 5%. Maybe you'll get more, maybe less, I don't know. But 15 million people is 5% of the population. 15 million people participating in whatever the course of action is going to make a difference. A few 100,000 people do it, or a few thousand people isn't going to make any difference to the government. And so it's very, very important that the people in the states know about this and they gravitate towards that website. It's kind of like the committees of correspondence. You gravitate towards that website and you see what is going on in Philadelphia, and you follow all the debates and everything. That's the vision, that's the plan. It's all very expensive. One of our objectives is to have you start nominating delegates to this convention, and they'll be screened and they'll be posted on the state websites. But another objective, of course, is there are people out there like Al Gore and Lee Iacocca, people who are wealthy and influential, and they take up causes. Well, freedom's a cause, and we're looking for those donors, those wealthy donors who can write the larger checks, can afford to write the larger checks, because they're concerned about what's happening to America. And they want to see this Continental Congress progress and succeed as a reasonable solution, to the problems that this country has. The people have got to begin to push back. It's long overdue. Okay. So I think that's about all I had to say. I'll answer all questions, so ask away. Yes.
Question, sir?
Yes.
We have a box going around.
Oh yeah, would you donate? Yeah, please. There's a lot of expenses associated with this tour,
It's coming around.
and so we do like to ask for donations. Thank you very much. Just pass that box down. Thank you. Yes.
So when do you anticipate that the Continental Congress will be?
Yeah, the question was, when do we anticipate that the Continental Congress will in fact meet? Initially, I'd hoped, well, okay, we'll fly around the country, do this prep tour, and then on February 1st, we're going to meet. Well, I've been convinced. On the one hand, we can't afford to wait. I mean, things are happening. Mr. Obama will be taking office on January 20th and so forth. But things are happening at lightning speed in terms of the erosion of our rights and so forth. It's pretty scary. And this year, I predict by the end of the year, you're going to need a wheelbarrow to get a loaf of bread. That the value of the dollar is going to sink so much. But it's not good. But in any event, we can't afford to wait. But on the other hand, you know, we need to do a good job of this and make sure that we're off to a good start. And so the convention center, you'll see there's an update going out tonight probably, where we're saying, okay, we've got a contract with the Constitution Center in Philadelphia. They're asking us to now reserve that space for this. They're kind enough to give it to us. They've asked all the tough questions. They know exactly what's going to be going on there when we get there. And by the way, that facility is part of the 20-acre area that includes Independence Hall. It's a national park, and they have a contract with a not-for-profit to run the Constitution Center. So they know what we're going to do. They've asked all the questions. We've answered them. But they have a contract before us now, and I have to commit to sign that. And I have to commit to the initial $14,000. And so I wanted to see just how this tour, how receptive the people are to this. Am I barking up the wrong tree here? What kind of, do we have enough? You know, are people really courageous enough to get on with this task? Or are they so fearful of the government that, you know, they're afraid to move ahead on something like this? So I wanted to get a feel. I can tell you, though, that I'm very happy with the number of people stepping up. I said, look, we're going to rely on local people for assistance in selecting the venues and making the other arrangements that have to be made in advance of my getting to that community and getting the people there and so forth. So it's coming together quite well. I mean, I'm really pleased. In just a short time here, we've got some really good suggestions. We've made some significant revisions to the schedule, for instance. We've had people step forward. We've shifted a meeting from Philadelphia over to Harrisburg because we're convinced they are going to reach out to all of the meetup groups and all these other freedom organizations, and it will be a pretty significant meeting in Pennsylvania. And things like that have convinced me, okay, this is for real, it's going to happen. And I have to now they want to know about when we anticipate starting, because they get requests, you know, for people to rent out these facilities. So my best guess now is the end of February, very early March. But I have to make that decision pretty quick because they're looking for their contract and the $14,000. And these are the kinds of things that we just need help financially because the expenses are really going to add up. Yes?
I'd like to make a comment and a question.
Could you hold this mic, and we'll pass the mic around to the next question, or yes?
The comment is, I mean, it might take a few seconds to say all this, but there's a little bit more is on. Yeah, that's right. Number one, you see how Obama got in office. You saw how he got into office. A number of people agree with me totally on this, is the type of intelligent people that we don't have in this country. As you can see, they've asked simple questions to these people. They could not even answer a simple question. When it said, who'd you vote for? I voted for Obama. I mean, it just shows what money does. But to get to the question is, we know what the problems are. We just learned a little bit more today. But we know what the problems are. But I have never, ever heard the answer as to how do you solve them. We talk about getting together. I've been hearing about 9 years now since, whenever Clinton got into office is when I got really interested in this. So it's been all those years from Clinton's time till now, fighting amongst each other. We can never stay together as a group. We always got to fight because, oh, you don't believe in what I believe in, so you're no good, and that breaks up the organization. That's all I've seen.
I'm well aware of everything you're talking about. So your point is?
My point is this. Where are you going to get people for this group when 97%, we were talking about this in front of
All right, I'm going to answer that. Hold on, because
Yeah.
we got many other
Okay.
questions. I see your point. I hear your question. I get around the country a lot. I know that there are many people, millions of people around this country. 1.3 million people voted for Ron Paul. They heard his message, it resonated, and bam, they voted for him, okay? A lot of them were young people that said, geez, I never heard anything like this before. This is wonderful, okay? So they're out there. The problem is they're more or less isolated one from another. They can't talk to their spouses, they can't talk to their coworkers, they think they're nuts, but they're out there. The whole challenge is to organize, okay? And so this is what we're doing. Do you understand what we're doing here? Maybe you'll fail. Maybe you're right. Maybe everybody is so afraid of the government.
They are.
You
They
know,
are.
and that this will
They
fail.
make up their own laws.
Okay, I'm not. Are you
What?
afraid of the government?
I am afraid. I'm scared to death of my freedom in this country. I'm scared to death. I'm going to be in jail someday because I won't pay my income tax.
Okay, so you're not going to. Okay, well, we're going to find out. We're
Yeah,
going
I'm deathly afraid. I'm 74 years old. I don't want to sit the rest of my life in jail because of a law that they make up.
Yeah.
I detest this government with a passion.
Oh, okay.
But what can I do?
But,
This is the first time I've seen some people.
yeah. All right.
Most of the people I talk to in my neighborhood, oh, you're crazy, Rickman. You're going to end up in jail.
All right. We're going to give the people an opportunity. Jefferson said it best, when the people fear the government, you have tyranny. When the government fears the people, you have liberty. He wasn't talking about the government fearing the people because they were armed, although that helps. He was talking about the government fearing the people. Why? Because the people know what their rights are, they're watching them, and they're prepared to confront them by the numbers if they step out of line. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out.
I don't agree. I think I got 3% of the people.
Well, hold on. So I should go home?
97%.
Are you saying I should cut this tour down? I don't get your point. What is your point?
What I'm trying to say is the government was very successful in dumbing down the population
Yes, okay.
to where they are today.
All right.
How are you going to change that?
And
You got to change it.
we're trying.
How? How?
Exactly what we're laying out here.
Where are they?
Yes.
I'm fed up with
All
this
right.
government.
I'm sorry.
May I say something, please?
Yes.
I'm 83 years old. The day that I can't do this 100-yard dash, I need to find some other way. I'm a World War II veteran. The thing that I fear is the media. Do you know that's where our battle is. Whenever I had the militia going in 1995, I had 97 people under my command. Every newspaper in South Texas, Corpus Christi Times, the Houston Chronicle, Chronicle, I call it. But anyway, every one of them vilified me and demonized me, and our county clerk, our county judge in my town of Victoria, I went before the court, not her court, because it didn't belong to the court, it's her, the people's court. She was telling the Houston Chronicle that I was out preaching anarchy. So this is what you got, and only the Corpus Christi Times gave me any kind of a halfway write-up. They told it the story like it was, like I was telling it. But unless we can overcome the news media or the ignorance of the people about that one thing alone, we would. I'm going to fight on those people. I'm not going to stop.
recognition. Thanks.
Is it on? Okay. Beyond today, once I leave this meeting, any suggestions on what I can do from here on forward? Because I don't want to just sit in the interim waiting until next February. And I also think, is there any way that we can maybe, is there a plan that we can network? Because you mentioned you might feel like you're the only person. So to be able to network, you feel like you're not alone. Suggestions on what we do once we leave today.
Okay, is Hank Goltz here still? Good. Where's Hank? Hi, Hank. Didn't see you sitting there. The question was, what do we do when we leave here today? Is there a way to network and so forth? Hank Goltz is the We the People Foundation's, We the People Congress, there's two organizations. He is our state coordinator. If you go to wethepeoplecongress.org and you go on the right-hand side there, and maybe Hank can show us. Go to our website, Hank, and go to, you're connected to the internet. I'll show everybody this. It's a good question. Go to wethepeoplecongress.org. You're on our website now. I think it's the foundation website you're on now. If you go to the top, you can click on the Congress. Okay, you're on, all right, scroll down on the right-hand side, if you can, and go to the link where it says, I don't know, something like Find Your Area Coordinator. This is what you all have to do. Start out with going to wethepeoplecongress.org, and then on the right-hand side, find the link, show the link where it says, hey, find your area, find your area, there it is, okay? Access state and county contacts, click on there. This is what you got to do, folks, pay attention. And then you're going to get a map, okay? Now click on Texas. And what you're going to get, and you can do this on any state, open that up, and this is the state, there are 50 of these. State websites, and there's Hank's picture and his contact information, okay? And there's a drop-down list somewhere on this page. You want to find the drop-down list, Hank? I don't know why we can't move this whole thing to the right. No, it's on your home page there. Okay, there it is. Every state website. This is where all the news. This is where you should all. This is your potbelly stove where you get around and you talk to one another and you congregate, okay? And you get the news from Hank. But you get a drop-down list of all of the counties in the state. And if you click on any one of those counties, you'll get it. There's 3,141 counties. You'll get the contact information for the county coordinator. But I have to warn you that when we set this system up, I'll be the first to admit we made a mistake. We said it to ourselves, it'd be important to get people in these positions as fast as possible, and they may not have the right, leadership qualifications, blah, blah, blah. But it's important to get them in there, and we'll sort them out later, right? Rather than screen them all and put them in and so forth. So we had all kinds of people.
Kind of like Obama.
Yeah, so we had all these people step in and become state and county coordinators. And the way the technology was set up, once someone stepped in, it blocked that position. Nobody else could get in there, okay? If you applied to be, say, a state coordinator and the position was already occupied, you were asked to become a volunteer to help that person, okay? And then you were listed as volunteers. But the problem is, a lot of those people that stepped in there, they didn't bother to tell us when they moved, or they changed their email address or their phone number, or they just didn't have the right leadership capability. They weren't self-starters. They were waiting to be told what to do and all that stuff, So we found ourselves with a lot of dead wood populating all of these. So we're dealing with that now. We've got people deciding how best to solve this problem. In the end, the delegates that you in this state decide to send to Philadelphia, these are your choices for delegates. Those people are going to be responsible for populating the state page, informing you If you want to know what happened in Philadelphia that day, you go to that state website, and you will find out. Now, the delegates, will decide who it is that's actually going to put the information on that page. Do they want to rely on the existing state coordinator? Let's say Hank is not a delegate. I don't know if he will be, but let's say there are 3 other people down there, and they're going to put that information here. Who is actually going to physically put it there? One of them, or somebody else that they decide to put it there, and then maybe it's Hank. But it'll get there, and it's there that we'll communicate. And you'll have the ability to chat and discuss what's happening. That'll all be on that.
You can blog.
What's that?
Can you blog on the site?
There was a blog we set up some time ago, but I knew then that that was a risk. When you have a blog, you need a blogger. You need somebody to put something on there every day. And we've all been so busy, we haven't been blogging. But there is a blog on this site.
So do you have one in every county?
No, it's,
One what? Website? Yes.
Do you have one person designated already in every county of the country?
No. Initially, there was a big rush of people. I mean, large percentage, 20-25% of the people of those counties had, but again, a lot of them were not, they moved, it's changed. We're dealing with that problem right now, but it's set up to have one. And if any of you want to be the county coordinator for your county, you can step in now and apply, and if it's unfilled, you'll be the county coordinator until we figure out how to do things differently.
So if you have every county in the state has a coordinator, do you have a state coordinator then?
Yeah, Hank is the state.
Okay, that's
Oh, I'm sorry. He's the state coordinator for Texas.
Okay.
Every state either has or will have a state coordinator, and every county has or will have a county coordinator.
Okay, there were questions, issues brought up concerning action. What can we do? Okay, there's been a lot of people that have been involved in the freedom movement across the nation in every issue you can imagine, for decades, for lifetimes. We have solutions. For example, what he's doing, he's performing, you see, the people have been putting the government on trial. And that trial has been in a condition of discovery. People all across this country for their whole lifetimes have been collecting evidence for the discovery. What he is doing a very, very detailed documentation of this. More detailed than most of us have been able to do that. Myself, many other of you have been doing this very same thing. We are in discovery. Many people have discovered that we are, in a way, basically beyond peaceful resolution. But we cannot take action until things are documented in such extreme detail that we can prove to the whole world. This has to be done peacefully, it has to be done publicly, and it has to be done in detail for the entire world to be able to scrutinize. Because if we don't, then the whole world's going to have to repeat this process all over again. We've got to do this right, and that's what we're doing. Okay, now our greatest vulnerability as a people here in the United States right now is our economy. They pulled the democracy scam on us. They've deprived us of our republic, our founding documents, our founding law, everything we've been fighting for 1,000, for 2,000 years or longer to try to establish. They are right now trying to take that away from us. The whole world will suffer again for who knows how many millennia if we do not succeed. Okay, now people are concerned about the government moving against them, thugs busting in the door, things like that. Okay, what does it matter, your life, my life? The ball is in our park now. We are the ones who's responsible to carry this thing through. Okay, are we going to crawl up in a little ball, hide in a corner, and maybe live a few more years? Okay, you've seen Braveheart. That speech that was given there applies to us right now. Are we going to be laying in our beds many years from now, seeing our children and grandchildren suffer for all of the things that we were in a position to do something about? It does not matter whether or not we live or die. What matters is that we stand up and do our responsibility.
Amen.
It is not how long you live, it is what you live for. Okay, if you want some examples of solutions, our greatest vulnerability, actually this is not the venue, we need to focus on him, but there are solutions, and I'm willing to even give a presentation and stuff like that.
I've been here 18 years, I've been doing it.
I understand.
18 years and I got nowhere.
Okay, I'll give you a
Where I am
teaser.
today?
I'll give you
18 years.
I know, I understand. I'll give you a teaser. There's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're going to deprive us of our economy and our access to credit and everything, for example, and our ability to communicate. Those things, there are ways that we can, things we can implement and we can prepare for when they deprive us of that. We are going to have to go back to our own society, our own networking, bartering to rebuild our own monetary system, our own trade and exchange, extract ourselves from their control system. It is a natural process. It will happen. But the thing is the most important thing, grow food. It'll buy us enough time for the rest of the system to start working. Okay. But anyway, that's another time.
These delegates are going to come up with, are going to consider all of these options and are going to come up with a agreed upon course of action. All living things die. As far as I'm concerned, it's a matter of how you go out. And I think this is how I would like to go out. I mean, the founders, let's face it, they were all men. John Hancock was the richest man in Boston. They all had a lot to lose. They decided this was the course that mankind, liberty, needed. And they knew the trouble that they were going to bring on themselves. So they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. And they were sought, the government came after them, they hung them, they didn't bother putting them in jail, they just hung them, or they burned their farms and the rest of it. But that's the price, as far as I'm concerned, it's well worth it. And I'm prepared to go the route, whatever it takes. Yes.
I just want to say good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Bob Schulz, for being here. We really appreciate you, and we appreciate the information and knowledge you bring upon us. And I just want to say, address, my name is Matthew Medina. I'm the organizer of We Are Change San Antonio. It's a progressive, grassroots political organization started in New York City, and it is about getting the information out in all genres and all topics, not only 9/11. And what we're doing here is engaging the youth and getting the youth involved. And we bring to their attention first any matters, whatever subject it is, to get their attention. We use the internet to our advantage in grassroots, spread knowledge. And it starts with also videos on YouTube, because the youth is all over YouTube. And that's where the numbers are at that people might be concerned, because there are a lot of people that are growing up teenage years, and they just can tell right from the beginning with all the junk out there, their natural discernment is telling them something's wrong. And we're all about trying to reach those people. So in regards to the concern about numbers, it's the youth, and what we're trying to do is engage those young minds and hearts and show them the right side. So as far as the knowledge Bob is bringing us here, this would be great, and we want to take this to the next level with the youth. So, I mean, if any of y'all have kids, nephews, nieces, I would say just take them to YouTube, show them Truth Rising, just maybe YouTube search We Are Change San Antonio. And what we're working on is getting the Campaign for Liberty to work with us, and also bring the We the People into it too, foundation, and we're just grassrooting all general information and trying to get the youth behind us because they know. And so for that concern, I would say pull up YouTube, We Are Change San Antonio. We have meetups. There's also an Austin group and the Campaign for Liberties, and I would say that's the answer for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthew. The question earlier was, what can we do when we leave here? What do you want us to get up out of our chairs and do? One, Hank, we're going to rely on you. I assume you've got the time to maintain that position as state coordinator with the task of informing people throughout the state of the upcoming Continental Congress, getting people to nominate the delegates to that, helping raise the funds that are going to be required for that, and working to not only increase awareness of the Continental Congress, but also to help get people to participate and to focus and gravitate towards the state page for their information about the developments and how they're going. In the end, when the Continental Congress has finished its work and it has settled on a course of action, it will only succeed if there are some 15 million people informed and putting a foot down together so that the individual risk is minimized. 15 million people spread across 50 states, it's not that high a number when you think of it that way. But there's going to be a lot of responsibility to fall on you as the state coordinator. So I would encourage everyone to get get people to read each of these articles on our website, starting with the one called Summit Call. And there are going to be updates every day or two, okay? Short updates. Get them to get well grounded by reading all of these and to look to the State of Texas website on our website, which just showed you how to get to it, for all the local news coming out of this state. And Hank has total control over what's put on that page.
Iowa.
Okay, and we have one for Iowa as well. Okay.
Well, Bob, do you have a process in place for selecting delegates? Is there going to be...
At the moment, the process is nominate them, send them to us. I'm putting this little group together to screen them, and then we'll say to you, Hank, put these 3 people up there. Go to the Massachusetts website. We give you a little example of what this is going to look like. And then we're going to ask you all to vote, for your delegates. But if you go to the Massachusetts, go back to the state page, and then click on Massachusetts. We had some fun in selecting some delegates from Massachusetts for the upcoming.
Why can't we select delegates right now?
What we need is information about these people, a little bio. Ideally a little photo, a little bio, so that we can say, okay, good, this person belongs on the State of Texas website as a nominee. And then eventually it'll be programmed so that people in Texas can then cast their votes for those folks. So here's the Massachusetts page. There's the name of the state coordinator for Massachusetts. Now scroll down a little bit. 3 delegates to represent each state. On January so-and-so, an historic event to restore our liberty and our Constitution commences anew. We need all patriots to stand and support representatives to be chosen by the people of each state to attend the historic, it may not be a month, but a month-long convention, a constitutional convention, a constitutional Congress proceeding in Philadelphia. To nominate a delegate to represent your state, click here. So there'll be a place to click to nominate somebody. All right, so we'll get all the nominations coming to us on a database. All right. Voting to select state delegates commences. We'll start that. Well, you can start it now. It's not too soon to start sending us. There's no link yet there, but don't let that stop you. Send me an email. And then click here for more information. There'll be a link there for more information about delegate requirements. And so in the end, you're going to get your state page is going to have your delegates, your nominees. So we just, for fun of it, we just selected names and put them on your state page. So there was this guy, over there in Massachusetts named Sam Adams. He wants to be a delegate. So there's his picture, and he sent in his little bio. So we put his name up there, okay? And we want this, each nominee to provide a little statement, okay, as to why he wants to be a delegate at this Continental Congress. So there's Sam Adams' statement. Oh, here's somebody else who wants to be a delegate from Massachusetts at this upcoming Continental Congress. His name is John Hancock. There's his picture, and there's his little bio, and scroll down, and there's his little statement as to why he wants to be. Oh, there's another one, John Adams, okay. There's his bio and his statement, and I don't know, maybe one more. Okay, that was it. Okay, thank you. You can take that down. So any other questions? I'll answer all questions, yes.
I have a couple of questions.
Who's speaking? Where are you?
Right here.
Oh, hi.
First, I'd like to just make a comment about the local scene here in Guadalupe County. A number of us were executive people, we call them precinct chairman, for the Republican Party in the Republican